Good evening. This is the Elliott Wave update for the S&P 500 for Sunday, February the 20th, 2022. Well, as the markets opened in Globex today, the threat of a Russian invasion within the Ukraine was very high, continues to remain high, but there now seems to have been where Biden and Putin have agreed to a summit. Now, whether that's actually going to take place or whether that's just a front by either side, anybody's guess. But what has happened, as the markets have decided, whoo, that's a major relief, and have just decided to rally off of being negative. The NASDAQ was down about 160, it's now up 61. The Dow was down about 120, it's now up 173. The S&P was down, reached a low at 43.12, almost 43.13, and is now up 25. But let's take a quick review of the Elliott and plus a previous analysis that I presented on Thursday, and you'll see how this all actually fits very cleanly into the current Elliott position and expectations. The S&P has been moving lower within the context of a minor third wave down, and that is a part of a intermediate wave 3. So this minor third wave will consist of 5 waves of minute degree. And as of last week, we had finished minute wave 1, minute wave 2. We were within a minute third wave down, which was subdivided. And that would be wave 1 of 3, wave 2 of 3, and then it starts to subdivide again. So as best I can count, we have 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we start to actually fill it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 3, 4, 5 of 3. Then we do a rally of 4, and then we come back down to 5 of 3. Now we're doing a larger 4, and we have potential where we likely can get back up towards, well, we're already up to one level at 43.67. We've been as high as 43.74, and we likely we may take a stab at 43.92. What the market cannot do is run up and break above 44.23. Anything below, we are still looking for an additional 5th wave down to finish the minute third, and then another series of a 4th and a 5th wave, which would come as a minute 4 and a minute 5, and then it's that minute 5, which will then complete the minor third, and then we still have a minor 4th and a minor 5th, 4 up, 5th down to complete the intermediate third. So we have a bunch of series of up and down still yet to come. This rally, I'm not really sure, other than under Elliott, I was expecting it, but when you see it happen, it is if they're running after to catch this relief rally. Better way for me to put it is that they were covering the shorts that they had just put on, and they're running into cover shorts. And now to be ready, since we are closed tomorrow, US regular sessions are closed tomorrow for the President's Day holiday. And so we don't really get a chance as a regular trading session to really respond until Tuesday morning. That's when the options will open. That's when everything goes back into play. In the meantime, we're basing it all on news. We're basing it all on a hope, a whim, and a prayer that they don't invade the Ukraine. In other words, I would rather base it on my Elliott count. Now we are allowing for this rally. I am totally still expecting some stronger downside to take over, and for these sequences of 3rd, 4th, and 5th waves to complete before we get a substantial, stronger rally for the S&P would come in the way first of a minor fourth wave. And then once this minor fifth wave is done, then the intermediate third wave will be complete, and we'll get an intermediate fourth wave, which would be very similar to what we saw here in the second wave. A nice sizable rally coming in an ABC position. Until that time, I don't think these rallies get incredibly far before everything starts to catch up. Now, don't forget, Asian markets are now open, and so they're responding as well to this potential for a summit and all the diplomatic efforts being put into place and Russia backing down. But the fact is that I've read is that Russia now has 75% of their military force surrounding the Ukraine on 3 of its borders. And they just finished, but didn't pull back the military equipment after having their military exercises within Belarus with the Belarusian military. So there's still a lot of tension. If we're listening to our defense secretary, he's out there talking, Russia has made a decision, and that decision is to invade and take over by force the Ukraine, to again reinstate it to be a part of Russia. Now, whether or not that happens, I still believe that we have enough force to get over the relief rally that will likely happen if it doesn't occur, and then for it to drop down and to finish this larger pattern that's in progress. So for tomorrow, there is no US regular trading session. Globex trades to mid-morning, but we still can be looking for an additional drop down. Our support levels for this drop down continue to come in. We have 4,300, we have 4,288, we have 4,250, which is where this minute third wave would be equal in length to the minute first wave. I see that it coming up deeper and stronger than that. And that would suggest that we start heading down below 4217, below 4200, and we're likely to come back down as possibly as low as 1.618, which sits at 4107. So our support zone's coming off of all of these moves, and that zone, 4107, may likely contain the minor third wave. So first off, I would expect that I'm going to get beyond this 4250 level for the minute third wave and possibly down to 4196, 4185. Then we get a nice little bounce in a minute 4, and that minute fifth wave will bring us back down into 4117, 4107, 4087. We get down into these levels. Ultimately, as I have spoken before, the intermediate third wave, I would anticipate comes down at least to 3990, which is where the intermediate third would be equal in length to the intermediate first wave, and more likely, we'd be looking at 3621 for that intermediate third wave would be 1.618 times the length of that intermediate first wave. So we still have quite a bit of downside, regardless of what the news is telling us, regardless of what the market's interpretation of that news is going to be. I still feel that on an Elliott basis, which doesn't take in fundamentals or news, this lets you see what the potential is and what the wave pattern is telling us. The wave pattern continues to tell me we've got considerable more downside to achieve before we begin to rally in a sustainable, larger pattern. So I'm going to continue to look for downside. Again, upside, I think, should be held below 4,400. The 50 moving average sits right here at 43.91.92. We have that resistance at 43.93. So I think that zone should contain it and then turn lower. This may also have been the high, and we start to move lower. I think that the Asian market's reaction is pure, woo, maybe we just dodged a bullet there. But I think the European reaction will not be as robust. Now, don't forget that within several of the Northern European countries, they are still being hit by severe weather. So their ability to get exchanges open and electronics working, et cetera, I have no idea. I don't know if there's been damage. I know the trains in some of the countries aren't running. Electrical systems need to be, the wires need to be repaired. So who knows? But I don't think that the European countries are going to be as optimistic about what is going on between the US and Russia and their leaders. I don't think they're going to find it as a relief, possibly as much as what we're seeing right now. So in any case, I think that upside should be continue to be limited. Downside will follow our support levels. Moving averages still are pretty much lined up to go down. Even though we broke above the 20, it's just gone flat. It's not turning higher. We have the 4 and the 8 turning higher as they should. But if we just take this down, I'm going to take it to the 30. I'm going to open it up. Let's take a look to see what this all looks like. You can see the 20 now, just now on the 30 beginning to angle up. But if anything, this should form an ABC. And I don't really see it just yet, but I would be suspecting that we're going to get that. And then an additional decline. So we may rally for the balance of the night. We may rally tomorrow morning. And then again, once Globex kicks in again tomorrow afternoon, evening, then we'll get a chance to see again what news has taken place during that time frame and how that wants to be interpreted. In the meantime, if you are going to trade during this evening or tomorrow morning, then please trade smart, trade according to what your moving averages, your price action, the Fibonacci and the Elliott are suggesting. And depending on how the trade does take place, I may do an update tomorrow to just update the situation. So if something does progress in either direction, I'll try to make an update of how it's been reflected in the markets. If not, the next update will be on Tuesday, the 22nd.